What's more important, the journey or the destination? Actually, it's the company. Journey to Well, the podcast, was birthed with the intention to cultivate relationships. You can expect a plethora of conversations on nervous system regulation, breathwork, human design and astrology, cycle alignment, energy and spirituality, and honestly, so much more. But the heart of this community is to witness the journey back home to ourselves, rediscovering our innate power within. I couldn't be more honored to take this journey with you. Be well, my friend, and enjoy today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast, Journey to Well. My name's Hannah. Today, we are chatting with Morgan Smith. He is the owner of Calm with Kava, and as you may guess, we're going to be talking about Kava, which is something that I don't know even how many of my listeners would know what Kava is, and may or may not have tried it, but hopefully by the end of this conversation, you'll have a great understanding of what Kava is, what the benefits of Kava bring, and why you might want to explore it as just another tool to add to your toolbox of self-care, ritual, connecting back to yourself and with others. So Morgan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And my first question always to every podcast guest is, who is Morgan Smith and what are you bringing today?
Well, I'm super stoked to be here. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm a father of two beautiful kids. I've been married to my wife for 16 years. I'm a guy who's in sheesh. Yeah, sheesh is right. She probably agrees with you.
16 years? You don't even look that old, Morgan.
Well, I really appreciate that. That's really nice. This bald head would say otherwise, but yeah, no, it's been 16 years of pure bliss. There's been no issues at all in the whole 16 years. And, my kids are just, they're turning into teenagers. My daughter's about to be a freshman. So I'm dealing with all of those emotions. It's a good time. And like you mentioned, I own a Kava company, and Kava is a plant that's been grown throughout the South Pacific for about 3,000 years. They use it for like kind of like community and relational connection with each other, and to help you kind of chill out and relax a little bit. So I not only own Calm with Kava, but I also own a farm on the big island of Hawaii where we also grow Kava. So I'm kind of a Kava nerd, but first and foremost, just a family guy, just a normal dude that wants to, take my kids to piano lessons and hang out. So, yeah.
Wow. Congratulations on the 16 years. Congratulations on high school. My niece is going to high school this year, and I'm like, how the heck did that even happen? So I have a little bit of an idea of that age and the fun that comes with it. So let's start with what is Kava, because as I was doing that intro, I was like, oh, maybe a lot of people listening haven't even heard of Kava, or maybe they've heard the word, but they're not really sure what it is. So let's start there, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. So in the South Pacific, there's a group of islands in Melanesia, and Melanesia is, if you think of where Fiji is in the South Pacific, like north east of Australia, right? And to the west of it is Vanuatu and the Solomon Islands, where Kava is first to have been thought to be originated. So Kava, it's a shrub. It's a plant that's kind of bushy like, and then like the basal stump of it and the lateral roots that shoot out from the side, they produce something called kavalactones, which are euphoric and sedative. And that part of the plant, the kind of basal stump and the roots, have been ground up and prepared into a tea and then consumed for thousands of years, right? So a lot of these folks, if you think of it like it's almost like a Polynesian or Melanesian peace pipe, right? It's something where, you want to go do a business deal with the guy next door, you go drink Kava with him. You want to go marry the girl next door, you go drink Kava with her father. You want to go do a business deal, you go drink Kava with the guy you're trying to do business with. Kava is just the thing that, like when you have an issue and you want to hash out your problems, Hawaiians have an interesting way of consuming kava in that sort of setting, where they'll have like a tea leaf, and a tea plant is like a big giant leaf. It's very, very
Yeah.
large, not like tea like you and I drink, but yeah, it's spelled TI. And they drink kava together, and when they hash out their issues, that tea leaf that is between the two people having the problems, that tea leaf is then ripped apart. Like that problem
Yeah.
that's between them has been sort of, it's gone now, right? And it's all
Wow.
done over kava, right? Kava is the thing that kind of unifies people and helps people come together and find common ground.
Hmm. That is so interesting. It's like the wine of Italy.
Yeah. I mean,
I
it's
feel
like
like
kind of
Italians drink
identical.
wine every.
It's like actually, I love that you brought up that parallel, because I always talk about it like, people go, well, is it like a ceremonial thing, or is it a recreational thing? I look at it like wine, because wine, of course, could be used as a sacrament. If you're Catholic, right? You go and
Mm,
and and go to mass, right?
yeah,
Or if you go out to a restaurant on a Wednesday night with your ladies and you're going, hey, let's go have a fun time, you go drink wine, right? Kava's
yeah.
the same kind of way. A lot of people will use it to relax and hang out together, but they'll also use it in different island cultures for different, reasons,
Can
ceremoniously.
can you yeah, so can you use it kind of like in ritual? Like, I mean, the example you gave of was church, but, like, do cultures and even in America, do people use it as a ritual?
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely do.
Yeah.
I personally, I drink it in the evening. I like to have it as kind of my, like, wind down at the end of the night. The house is quiet. The kids are in bed. My wife is watching some TV show I'd rather not watch, and I finally have a few minutes to myself, and I make myself a bowl of kava, and I
Mm,
kind of drink that and relax and kind of hang out and take that couple of minutes to reset. To kind of think about what happened that day and what things I need to do tomorrow,
mm,
and all the kind of issues of the day. It's really like my meditation time, right? It's like a I don't know. I feel like so many people are like, well, when do I meditate? Or like, how do I meditate? Or how do I like find that 10 minutes a day to just kind of be with myself? Well, that's how I
mm,
do it. I have like an
mm.
activity that I do where I don't have the TV on and I don't have all these distractions, and I'm just preparing my kava and drinking it.
That's actually a really good point because I used to, which I'm thinking about kind of bringing back. It's been coming up a lot recently for me, but I led a circle at a wellness center that I worked at called the Art of Meditation, because we do have so many preconceived notions about what meditation should be or what it does look like. And often it's the like incense burning, the gongs playing in the background and your hands together and the like sitting on a meditation mat or cushion with nothing in your mind. And certainly that is one form of meditation, but what we talked about a lot in the group was different types of meditation. And one of my favorite, actually, one of the women in the group shared, she said, I actually use mowing my lawn as a meditation because it's a time where my mind just kind of goes goes anywhere it wants to, but it slows down. And like if you think of mowing your lawn, it's like these lines like back and forth and back and forth. It's very repetitive. But we really did explore different forms of what can be meditation for you. And one of them absolutely could be coffee in the morning, kava at night, making a cup of tea. I think what I like too about kava, which of course you can explain or expand upon, is like the process of, I don't know if you call brewing it. I don't know what you call it, but the
Sure. Yeah, you can
process of
call it brewing
making
it. Yeah.
it. I would say brew, but not like a coffee. But the process of making it, right? Where like you can even use that as the beginning of, "Whew, all right, let's start to slow down the day. And then you just, yeah, TV off. I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, like, people talk about shower thoughts all the time, right? It's because you're literally doing nothing. You're just sitting in there, just bathing yourself, and you have nothing to do but to sit inside of your own kind of mind.
Mm,
There was a thing I saw recently. It was by like Harvard, some sort of a mental health kind of Harvard thing. And
yeah.
the guy on there basically said, like, people don't have enough time to themselves, and it
Mm.
really screws you up because you don't have any time to like. I'm a nerd. I used to work in the tech industry. It was very like kind of a crazy time for me. We can talk about that if you want, but if you ever like old school computing days, you would have
Mm.
to re-index your hard drive, which would basically like take all of the things inside of your computer and organize it in a way so that you could access your files faster, right? And you
Okay.
do it every once in a while because your hard drive would get all kind of discombobulated. That's what you're doing to your brain, right? When you have
Mm.
just 10 minutes, it's not like, like you said, like, yeah, you could go into all sorts of Zen Buddhism camps and, find all sorts of crazy things to kind of jingle and shake and think about, but you don't really need all that. You just needed some time to not, have like, I don't know, something hitting your brain from
Mm.
somewhere else. You need to
Mm,
be in your own
yeah.
thoughts. Yeah.
Oh,
So that's how I use
absolutely.
Kava.
It also kind of reminds me of, or one piece that I found when I take just like 10 minutes, like you said, is I feel like the rest of the day slows down. Like time passes more slowly in a good way. Like, I mean, I love my work and I love what I do. So, like, time always kind of passes quickly at work for me or podcasting, but like it helps. I don't know, it like reframes time for me where I feel like I actually have more time in the day when I take 10 minutes in the morning, and I have a whole, like, evening routine too, but on those days where I do take the time to slow down, I do feel like it reframes time. Do you feel that way too?
I don't know. I've never really thought about it. Maybe I'm gonna. Well, because
Sit with it.
also, yeah, I mean, like I'm doing this at the end of the day, right, where I've already gone through everything. I don't really. I mean, do I have a morning ritual? I mean, I'm sure that I do, but I haven't really thought about it. Uh,
Mm,
I don't have like something to prepare me for the day, right? I'm just
mm,
like, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna put on some clothes and I'm gonna take a shower and I gotta get out of here. Like I don't
exactly.
really, I probably should take some time in the morning, but I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting to me. I do feel that way, but so I'm very curious what I mean, and maybe this can tie into your previous life in the tech industry, but what drew you to Kava originally, and then what drew you to creating a company and buying a farm and actually like really being hands-on in the Kava harvesting process?
Yeah. With all things in life that are interesting, they generally come with a breaking point, and I hit a
Mm,
breaking point. Right.
yeah.
I was in the tech industry. I was doing software development. I was in like the financial sectors of technology, which are very stressful, right? If I was working for the big banks. I was working for companies that were doing a lot of cash, and so when your systems were
Mm,
down or they screwed up in some way or another, you're talking about a lot of lost revenue and a lot of
mhm.
heat on me. And
Wow.
that was very stressful. And so as a young father, I had just had we had just had our second child, and I was I just remember feeling like there was elephant sitting on my chest, right? I couldn't breathe right. I couldn't sleep right. I couldn't do anything. I felt like I was just like a failure, just 'cause it was just
Mm,
like just a lot going on, and as a young family guy trying to do the right thing, trying to find that balance between work and family life, it's just difficult. And so I went to
yeah.
my doctor and I asked for some help, and she prescribed me some benzodiazepines, and she prescribed me some SSRIs. She said, "Well, the SSRIs take a while to kick in. Try this benzo," and so I did. And I was at the office, and I got really just I felt like that elephant was sitting on my chest. I took it, and then I don't remember what I did the rest of the day. I was driving
Mm,
coworkers to lunch. I was making decisions I probably should not have been making. Nothing like poor, like I wasn't like going out there and doing crazy things,
yeah.
but I was driving when I was on this stuff. I was, but I don't have any recollection of it. It was like,
Uh,
I kind of woke up a few hours later in like a haze, and I just thought, this is not for me, right? Heaven
mhm,
forbid I have to take one of my kids to the hospital, or I need to make a decision that's very important and I'm on this stuff. Like it didn't fit with my life.
mm,
So I looked around for all sorts of different options, and I tried probably 15 different substances to try to like deal with it. And like my family has a long history of physical addiction, and I don't want that in my life. I don't want to be beholden to any substance. And so
Yeah.
Kava was the one thing I felt like that I could actually feel, like physically, I actually felt something. Mentally, I felt it kind of calm me down, but I
Mhm.
also wasn't beholden to it. It's not physically addictive. So I could take
Mhm.
it for 3 years straight and not have it the next day. And I will never have a withdrawal, and I'll never have any issues with it. We just took a trip for 2 weeks overseas. I didn't bring any kava with me. And guess what?
Oh.
It doesn't matter. Right. So that's, to me, that's very important. It's like a solution that can help me relax and wind down, but without turning me into a zombie. And so
Mm.
that's how I found kava. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. And then like, when you're talking about like, how do you actually go ahead and start a company like this
Yeah.
was back in like 2013. And
Okay.
back then there wasn't a lot of kava out there, and it was hard to find good kava. And so
Mhm.
I started a little kava company called Cactus Kava. It did somewhat well, and I ended up selling it because it was just too much for me at the time. And then I sold it to a guy named Mike Munsell. Mike was my good friend. He bought it, and then he and I worked together on a lot of different projects. And he started a little kava patch on the Big Island of Hawaii in 2016, and then in 2020 he passed away. And
Mhm.
he was like my guru. He was my buddy. He was my best friend. And so whenever I had a question about kava, I would call up Mike, and Mike was always the guy that he knew all the answers. So
Wow.
it was like a really terrible situation to be in.
Yeah.
And of course, his wife, she's dealing with all sorts of issues because of that, and she has chronic health issues. And so she asked me if I would run the company for her, and so I did. And then I bought the company from her about a year and a half later, and then I also bought the land in Hawaii from her. And so now we have, from Mike's original 100 plants that he had in Hawaii, we have about 15,000 plants. So we're like, not only did we, keep the company going, but we're also kind of expanding my buddy
Wow.
Mike's vision from, 15 years ago. So, yeah, I feel very
Mm.
honored that I can do that for him.
Oh, that is so sweet, and what a cool kind of full circle of you selling it, him growing it, and then you buying it back and now able to grow it for him and for you and for the world. That's really cool. I really like something when we first chatted, something that really impressed me was the fact that you actually go through the whole process of, like, I mean, you grow the plants, you go to Hawaii, you're in, like, the manufacturing process and the selling process, and then, of course, you're a consumer of your own product. There's a cacao company that's similar that I think there's something really special in kind of having the founder, CEO travel that entire journey of the process of whatever they're selling, and I think that in herbal supplements, medicine, herbal products, I think that's really cool too because just the energetics of the product are higher in my opinion, just in my unsolicited opinion. I think that that would raise it, right?
I agree. I agree. Like I'm not a particularly religious guy,
Mm,
but I do feel like, so one thing that we haven't really touched on, I kind of talked about a little bit, was that Mike had those 100 plants, right, in
mm.
Hawaii. And kava is a sterile plant, meaning that it has flowers, but it doesn't have any seeds. You can't grow it
Oh,
from seed, and it doesn't
hmm,
reproduce on its own. It's required
oh,
humans like you and me and their families to make cuttings of the plant. So like it's
okay.
got kind of these stems, kind of like a finger, right? And the knuckle of your finger is where the roots would grow from. So you take a cutting of the
Mm,
stem, and then you plant that, and you have a new kava plant.
huh,
So without people, you don't have kava. And
wow.
um, because of that, it is super, super sacred and special to the Polynesian, Melanesian, and Micronesian people throughout
Mm,
the South Pacific. And personally, I feel like, in kind of the same way you're talking about, sort of the energy that goes into these plants
yeah.
or these herbal medicines. Um, you have 3,000 years of people who cared for this plant, and
Mm,
those energies are going into that plant.
Mm.
the plants that we have today on that farm are the result of thousands of years of people taking care of them. And the other thing that kind of blows my mind too is that, these were folks that were out in the middle of nowhere on rocks in the middle of this in the Pacific Ocean. And one day they decided, for whatever reason, maybe they were explorers, maybe they had a tiff with someone on the island and they're just like, I got to get out of here, whatever
Mm.
it is. They decided that they were going to load up their canoes with everything that was important to them. They brought their family, of course. They brought
Yeah.
food. They brought supplies. They brought medicines. And kava was one of those canoe plants that traveled with them. So it was that important to them to bring kava with them. And
Hmm.
those energies, are in the plant for sure.
Mm. Mm. I like that. I totally agree. I think that that's just it is a sacred piece of of your story, of your company story and Kava in general. Going back a little bit, because I did ask you 2 questions at one time. Sorry about that, but great job.
My bad for not
No,
remembering the
no,
second part.
going back to what kind of had you try Kava in the first place, and just feeling really overwhelmed and finding that Kava is kind of that, like, non-addictive. I think that's one of my things too, and actually, I just had a conversation with somebody, um, and we were kind of talking about addiction, and for me, I think one of the important things just in general is, like, we're all addicted to something, whether that's your phone, a drug, uh, sex, porn, shopping, food, whatever it is, and so I say that with acknowledging that, like, we do have addictions, but for me, having some sort of addiction to like a food or a drug or an herbal supplement is just something that's important to consider. So I try even with like the supplements that I take, I don't take them every day, even the ones that are good for you, like collagen, and like I take a mineral supplement, and kind I really appreciated that you said that like you just went on vacation for 2 weeks and didn't take it. But I'm curious what you notice when you don't take it, like when you're on vacation. For me, I'm kind of coming from the perspective of I have this like brain functioning one that's supposed to help your brain function and actually your heart. And I'm like, do I notice a difference when I don't take it? Or is it in my head? Or, is it actually helping my brain and cognitive function? So I'm curious what your thoughts are since you just went on that 2-week trip.
That's a great question. I've never been asked that before.
Ooh, yes.
I think that, you know, I use Kava in a way where now I have to be very careful here. I'm registered with the FDA. They could come inspect me at any time. They could come, tell me I'm doing something wrong. And
Mm,
especially when it comes to marketing or talking about it, right? Like technically this could be considered a marketing thing. I'm not paying you. You're not getting anything for
no.
this, but people could look at this and be like, well, you're just selling a product, right? So whatever I
Mm,
say here, I'm just going to craft my words here carefully. But
sure.
how I would answer that is I use Kava as a way to wind down at the end of the day, especially after a difficult day.
Mm,
So when I'm on vacation, I typically am not having a difficult day, right? Like
good point.
like I'm using that whole time to kind of unwind anyways.
Right.
So, when I'm not taking kava, it's just another day. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I wish I could tell you something different, but to me, I don't really notice that much of a difference.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool. I kind of then maybe I would equate it something to like chamomile tea or lemon balm or something, where I think too, again, I think that we can get caught up in, I have to take melatonin every night to sleep, or I have to take lemon balm or chamomile or smoke weed or, what are the other ones? I don't know, like the sleepy
There's
time
all
gummies
sorts
or
of
whatever.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. Where like that too just sometimes gets me where I'm like, I don't wanna have to take something to then feel that I can sleep well, which is kind of where,
Yeah.
like, my routine comes in. Um, yeah,
I,
it's
I
just an
had
inter
a, When I was a kid, I was raised in the 90s, right? My mom was like, "Oh, he's a crazy boy. Let's go get him Ritalin." And so from an early age, I think I was in probably the third grade or something like that when I first was on Ritalin. And then it changed to Adderall after a little bit. But I
Oh,
hated it. I hated
yeah.
how it like made me feel like a zombie. And it made me feel like I didn't have like a personality. And
Yeah.
I have a personality, so that really drove me nuts because I just felt
Yeah.
like really lame.
Yeah.
Um, and the reason I brought it up is because when I didn't take it, I did notice that I had a hard time concentrating. I still have a hard time concentrating all
Mm.
the time, but I feel like there's a problem with everyone. It just in general. But I had to really train myself, and I actually stopped taking these prescriptions without telling my parents. I would tell them I'm taking them in the morning. I would go to the nurse and say, "Yeah, I took it," but I didn't. I just
Yeah.
chucked it. No, I guess I could have sold it back in the day. That probably would have been a good call for young
Missed
Morgan, but I didn't.
opportunity.
Yeah, man, I could have been a billionaire by now. Anyways, but I didn't. And I didn't take him. And it was probably like a year before I told my mom. I was like, I haven't been taking this for
Wow.
like a year, right? And she was like, "What?" uh, because I really had to like, I had, it took a long time for me to like really figure out like, how do I actually concentrate when I need to? And how do
Wow.
I do well when I need to? And I did. And I do to this day. So I think to your point, I don't want to take something if I don't have to. And if I
Mm,
can train myself to deal with the issues,
mm,
then I'm going to do that. And I don't want to have to rely on something to go to sleep. I don't want to have to rely on something to calm down, right? Like when I want to calm down, I don't immediately reach for Kava. You know what I
mm,
do? I go for a walk. I
mm.
go bother my 14-year-old daughter and ask her about her day, and I
Yeah.
go hang out with my son and play video games with him, right? Like I do all the things that are outside of that, and then at the end of the day when I just need a little bit extra of something to kind of wind down, Kava.
Nice. Okay. I like that. Thank you for sharing. And obviously that's just your experience and my
Sure.
experience, but I think that we're very aligned in that where yeah, I don't want to feel like I have to reach for something which I is just a personal opinion and of course everyone is has their own opinion, but okay. So one of my other questions, which is random, but going back to what you had said, is you said, like, "I make a bowl of kava." So can we go through the process of, like, what is the brewing? I'm gonna put that in quotes. What is the brewing process of preparation process of kava?
Sure. So when you have a kava product here in the US, it's almost always going to be dried roots, and
Okay.
it's going to be in a powder form. And you would take that powder and you'd put it into a strainer bag. It's basically just like a kind of like a tea bag that's a giant tea bag,
Mm,
but it's normally made out of either muslin cloth or some sort of a synthetic nylon or something. And you would massage the powder into water. And what you're doing there is really like kava is not a solution like coffee or tea is, right? When
mm,
you brew coffee or tea, you're using hot water to extract everything, the caffeine and the tannins and all that, and it's going into the water, right? It's being absorbed into the water. Kava is not that way. There's starches in kava that you're trying to release from the strainer bag out into the water, and so it's actually a suspension, meaning that like the powder itself is what you're drinking. It's
mm,
just that it's in water. And so you'll notice after making kava, it will settle down to the bottom and you'll want to kind of stir the bowl up again,
mm.
because you're making it in a bowl. That's why I said bowl earlier.
Yeah.
And normally you make like 4 to 6 servings at a time. At least I do. And that means that you are also drinking it in maybe half cup servings. In the islands, they'll have it in like a coconut shell, right? So whenever we
Mm,
talk about having a serving of kava, we actually say a shell of kava because
cool.
that's how much it would be. So like if you go to like Vanuatu, they'll be like, which is this country west of Fiji, they actually have their shells, which and then they actually strain it through like hibiscus bark, and they actually have fresh
Oh,
kava, so it's it's not dried ever. It tastes more like a cucumber water or something like that, but like kind of
Mm.
like a muddy cucumber water. Not as good as cucumber water. Um, but
Something.
yeah, but whether you're in Vanuatu, Fiji, Samoa, Tonga, Hawaii, it's always done with a coconut shell.
That's fun. Sounds very I feel like now I wanna go to one of the like, even just Hawaii and try it through and the
I
non-dried, the fresh kava.
Yeah, so on our farm in Hawaii, we're growing kava so that we can grind it fresh and freeze it. So that way, when you get
Mm.
it, it's a frozen product that's like just a couple hours out of the ground, and
Oh.
it is a much more just sort of clean experience, like in terms of like its effects and its
Mm.
flavor. Personally, fresh kava is like the best of the best, but it's very difficult to get. So that's why it's like, well, you can try. There's a farm in Hawaii right now that has it, but other than that, you can't really get it. So it's
Mm.
difficult.
Mm. Hmm. Future, dreams.
This
It'll
year,
happen.
our farm, yeah, this year on our farm and called Puiva Farms Hawaii, we will have fresh frozen kava for people to try. So I'm very stoked.
Fun. Yeah, because I was thinking when you sent me some, it was not frozen, I don't
No,
think. Okay. I'm like, "Did I miss something? Did it sit on my front stoop for too long?"
no, that was all dried.
Okay. Yeah, that was what was throwing me off. So for people that you feel so I'm trying to think of how to craft this question. I find that in general, I am blessed right now to not have a lead a super stressful life. I don't have kids. I'm not married, so, those are 2, like, the biggest stressors. I'm pretty, like, financially stable. I don't have a lot of financial stress. My job is stressful, but I definitely do I love what I do. I kind of do quite a few things, but I love every aspect of it. So one of my things too is like when I think about this drink to drink at night, and again, I don't really do like lemon balm chamomile tea. So for people that feel like on the fence about is this something that would be really beneficial to try or not, what do you say to those kinds of conversations?
I'm not here to pressure anyone. That's that's the first thing.
Not to
I
force
had
them.
yeah, no, I actually, I was hanging out with a Fijian guy one time, and they were drinking kava, and they drink a lot of kava, and
Mhm.
more than this guy can handle. And so there was a point at which I said, I don't know if I can do anymore. And he goes, don't drink it. He's like,
Mm,
this is not the place for, we're not here to, ruin your day or whatever.
mm,
Like kava is something where you should feel comfortable drinking it. If you're
mm,
not comfortable drinking it, then don't. If you, however, are looking for something that might be an alternative to a different substance that are trying to get away from, look, like shoot, man, my 75-80% of my DNA comes from the British Isles, right? Like
mm.
my family, I'm sure, was at some point was distilling whiskey, a couple hundred years back, and that didn't do a whole lot of good for the world. And and I just feel like if you're trying to get away from something like that, you want to find something that's not going to ruin your mornings, or not
Mm,
something that you're going to like forget
mm.
what you did tonight, maybe kava is an option for you. I think that it's something that could like really, I don't know. Okay, here's what I'll say this. If you're looking for it's like a way to improve your community, if you're looking
Mhm,
for a way to like get close to someone and connect with someone else, buy a bag of kava, prepare it together, and drink it
mm.
together.
Love
You
that.
might not like it. That's okay, but it's a good time, and it's a good
Good
experience to
time.
share with someone else. And so that's what I would say is like, you don't have to have it. Don't feel pressured to try any kava. But if you are looking for something that's a little bit different and maybe something that you could, change your life with, maybe kava's that thing, and drink it with
Mhm.
someone else to experience it together. And I think that you'll really like it.
I really like that you said that because where my mind is actually going as you were talking was like, this would be a really fun, like, have a kava party or, like just have a few friends over or even just one friend over and drink it all
Oh yeah.
together. And like, I'm imagining kind of like a wine, like a wine and cheese night, but minus the wine because I do drink, but I definitely do feel the like a little bit of grogginess the next day, and that's even just from like 1 or 2 glasses of wine. So I am gonna try that. I think it's just do a little like kava party and see how we like it. My mom actually, ironically, this week emailed me this recipe and it had kava in it. It's like some sort of, Ayurvedic wind down evening tea because she
Hmm.
does have chronically has had issues with sleep in I mean for years. So she's always exploring new things. I have to have a conversation with her. I don't believe she's ever tried kava. And so I emailed her back and cuz we email cuz she's my mom. And she emails and texts me, but she emails me a lot. And I emailed her back and I'm like, "Actually, mom, I have 2 bags of kava, so if you want to do it, if you wanna try it together." And I wanted to try so bad before we recorded this podcast, and she was traveling and she just got home a couple days ago, but, so I might have to try it with her because it also feels like a good kind of again with the like wine in Italy or just wine in general or having drinks with someone, it feels like something that could be very fun within relationship.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And I also like people think they always try to like equate it to something like wine or in Fiji specifically they actually call kava grog, but it's like an old it's a thing from the past, right? Like Captain Cook was rolling around those islands and found, he was the first Westerner to document what kava was, and they're calling it grog because it's the only thing that they could associate it with, right? Like
Yeah.
they didn't know what else to call it. They were like, it's a drink and it makes people kind of relax. I guess it's beer. It's not. It's not even close to that. And so when people try kava for the first time, a lot of people are sort of underwhelmed. They're expecting some
Mm.
big, huge thing. Oh, I'm going to feel all sorts of crazy.
Oh.
No, that's not kava. Kava's like you're going to be relaxed. It's like a tenth of weed. It's like
Hmm.
a really intense chamomile. It's like,
Yeah.
what people thought about CBD 15 years ago? Do you remember when people
Yeah.
were trying it for the first time and
Yeah.
there's a big CBD craze? Oh, we're going to,
Yeah.
CBD, CBD. And 90% of people tried CBD and they were like, this does nothing. I feel nothing. I don't care about this. I feel like kava is actually what people thought CBD was.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. So don't expect a lot, but just go,
Yeah.
okay, it's going to give you something, but it's not going to be super, super intense.
See, I like that though. That's me.
Me too, man.
Or like, yeah, like I'm not interested in doing like a big plant medicine journey or I don't smoke weed, like all of that. So that sounds fun to me.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I've tried kava. I'm saying it like I haven't had kava. I do. I think the taste of kava is different. Like nothing that I can really place, honestly. I'm not sure what I could tell you it tastes like. Um, Although I will say I appreciate that you have the little kava gummies too, which is fun. If you don't want to brew, is there a difference? And like, what is the difference? I guess let's talk about that.
Yeah. So one thing that's really funky about kava is that when you extract it, right? When you think of like a marijuana extract, you're thinking those gummies are like you're gonna be sent out to space,
Stronger.
right? And kava is not that way. Kava
Mm.
extracts are not as strong as the traditional kava beverage. So,
Mm.
and we don't know why. I think that there's probably some volatile compounds that you're destroying when you're doing an extraction with kava, but we don't know yet. The science is kind of out on why that is. So, the gummies are good. The concentrates and extract products are good,
Yeah.
but the premier stuff is always going to be the traditional drink. Yeah. And I'll also say about the taste. So the Latin name for kava is Piper methysticum. Piper is the pepper family. So it has a very sort of
Hmm.
peppery sort of undertone, which is why it pairs really well with things like chai, right? Like nutmeg, clove, allspice,
Ah.
cinnamon. Those are really good sort of flavor pairings with kava because of that.
Huh.
Um, you know what else is really funky is that when we get all of our roots whole from the islands and we sterilize them to make sure they don't have any like E. coli or salmonella or anything.
Mm.
We just want to make sure it's super like pharmaceutical grade. And then we will grind it. And when you grind kava fresh, it smells like Christmas. It smells
What?
like it smells like gingerbread. It's crazy. But not when you drink it. I don't know.
No. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I,
I'm
I
not
wish
tasting gingerbread. Maybe
I know.
like
I wish I could
peppery
bottle up the smell.
undertones. Yeah.
Yeah, peppery undertones.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, so it kinda
Can
tingles your mouth. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it that also kind of throws me off. Um, Not that it's bad. No, it's not bad at all, but, like, the first time I tried kava, I was like, "Whoa." I don't think that I was really expecting the kinda, like it's not kinda, like, tingly or, like, numbing a little
Mhm.
bit, and I think that threw me off a little bit. But another question that I have, kinda speaking of how it pairs well with chai and nutmeg and stuff, so I know with cacao, they like a very traditional ceremonial grade cacao, they recommend that you don't like not put it in with your coffee or your hot chocolate or whatever. Like have it as pure cacao in a ceremony. Is kava similar where you would recommend just to do it, just to have it by itself, or can you add nutmeg, or could you put it in a chai tea or I don't know, some sort of smoothie or something?
This is like a hot button topic with the 3 kava
Oh.
nerds that are in the US, you know?
Oh, good to
It's,
know.
yeah, because, traditionally, it has always been consumed with water, and, tradition is a pretty important thing throughout the South Pacific.
Right.
And they really want to kind of stay true to that. But the thing is that traditions change a lot.
Mm,
If you go to Fiji, they've only started drying kava in the last couple hundred years. So is it traditional to drink it dried? No,
mm.
not really. If you go to Hawaii, King Kamehameha, he asked he literally had a guy, yeah, like his full time job was to prepare the king's kava,
He had a
and
kava guy?
he had a kava guy. That's
Love
how
that.
yeah. If that but I mean, that gives you some idea of how important kava was to them,
Yeah,
right? He had his
seriously.
very own kava dude. I'd love that job.
Right?
Anyways, so he asked his kava guy to prepare his kava, and they call it ava in Hawaii. And he asked him to prepare his ava with sugarcane and with turmeric, and
Mm,
sometimes with coconut water.
hmm,
So is that traditional?
right.
I don't know. It wasn't up until King Kamehameha did it, maybe, or maybe it just wasn't documented, right? All this is oral history. So we don't really know a whole lot about the South Pacific
Mm,
until the past couple hundred years, just because nothing was written down.
yeah.
So, some people will say it should only be mixed with water, and some people say, oh, it can be mixed with water, but it can also be mixed with coconut water, and some people will say mix it with whatever you want. So I'm not going to be the gatekeeper and tell you what you should do.
Yeah. Interesting. That's it. I feel like there could just be such a deep conversation on, right, what is tradition, what is traditional, and if this king was doing it, I think that you can create new traditions. So just in general, like, right, like new family traditions, new Christmas traditions. So maybe you
Yeah.
create this new tradition with I mean, yeah, and what I said with the email with my mom, they're mixing it with stuff because it definitely was I totally don't remember the other ingredients, but it wasn't just a kava drink. It was mixed with other things, so could
Yeah.
be
I
fun
think
just
that
to
there's
play with both.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that there are some people who really treat kava purely as ceremonial, right? And so
Right,
if that's the case, and the tradition for that ceremony is just to use water, great. Recreationally, though, I don't really see
right.
the harm personally.
Yeah. I mean, with my cacao, I actually do mix it with coffee in the morning just because I like it.
Tisk tisk.
I know, and it is a ceremonial grade, so but I do, but then if I'm doing a cacao ceremony, of course, it's just the cacao, so I also kind of agree with you with this. I guess it depends what you're really wanting to do out of it. If you really want to make it this ceremony, maybe you do it the very strict traditional way, and then recreationally, you're like, let's try it with some coconut water, see what happens.
Yeah. How often do you do a cacao ceremony? And are you required to call it cacao or can you call it cocoa?
So there's actually a difference between cacao and cocoa. It
I
is
would love
still
to learn.
from the plant. Ooh, God, can I teach you? Do I remember? I don't think that I remember the difference between I think cocoa is more processed than cacao.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
because can you have raw cocoa powder? I don't think so. I think that if it's raw cocoa powder, it's cacao. And it's just you flip the O and the A, so it's very confusing because if you read it really quick, you would think that it's cocoa. But yeah, so cacao is, it it,
Uh,
it's raw and it comes from the cacao plant, and I don't know.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's
I didn't
okay.
know
I wish
anything
I
about
knew.
it.
I did know at some point. I'm like 80% sure that cocoa is just more processed. But how often can you do a cacao ceremony? I mean, kind of honestly, kind of like kava, as much as you want. Cacao in the ceremonial space or in more of a like a spiritual way, it's supposed to help you, it's supposed to kind of boost creativity and raise it's really helps you allow it helps allow you to connect to your heart space. So it's a heart opener. So a lot of people will take it before meditation, or I lead women's circles and breathwork journeys. So sometimes I'll do some cacao, like a cacao ceremony with breathwork or in my women's circle. And I actually have a friend that does the same. So some people will
Hmm.
say it really helps you get deeper into the breathwork journey and connect more to your heart space. Or I also have some entrepreneurs that I know that will have a cup of cacao before they sit down and do a lot of like creative work in their business, brainstorming and such. And it does obviously cacao has caffeine in it too, so it kind of wakes you up a little bit. So that's why I have it in the morning. Although a lot of people take it at night because there's magnesium in it, so they say that it helps them sleep. So I feel like there's a lot of similarities to kava
It
and
sounds like
cacao,
it.
like right, it can be very ceremonial, and then it can also just be like, "Well, let me just have a cup of" people put a lot of wellness, not wellness studios, but like wellness, like food places will put it they'll just have, like, cacao in a smoothie or something, which
Right.
I don't think that's ceremonial grade because you can buy raw cacao, but anyway,
R-
that's a whole
Wow.
I
One
digress.
thing that I mean, it's interesting because you're right. It sounds like there's a lot of parallels. There is a woman I know who owns a kava bar where you can go and
Mm,
have a kava, and then like next door she has a yoga studio. Like that's what she's always been. She's always been kind of a yoga person, and
yeah.
she told me that she was tired of sending her yoga folks over to a certain kava bar because of some issues. And so she opened up her own as a result. And so
Right.
before her yoga classes, all of her students are able to go and have a shell of kava for free. And they go and
Oh,
go do their yoga, which I've never done it. I probably
wow.
should, but yeah,
Yeah.
for the same kind of reasons you're talking about, right? It helps you kind of
Wow.
relax and focus a little bit more.
That is so if anyone in New England is, listening to this podcast that has a yoga studio, do that. That's a great idea, actually. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And again, kinda going back to the relationship aspect, I think one of the things that I don't like about yoga classes is you're not really talking through it, so to be able to get together with your yoga girlfriends and have some kava and then go to a yoga class, that sounds perfect. I've never there is a kava bar about an hour from me, but it's not associated with a yoga studio that I know. It's just
Yeah.
kind of a place to go and hang out. They have games and books, which is really fun. It's kinda like a coffee shop, but a kava bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is so
Sounds about
different.
right.
I do like at least this kava bar too, their one of their kind of messages was, it's kind of this alternative to going to a bar and getting shit-faced, and I like that a lot, and they had, like, board games and card games, and they have events, and, there's quite a few people that were just there to hang out, and I think that's really fun, again, and building relationships and just having a space to relax and go out because mocktail bars, I think, are kind of up and coming too of this, like, let's create spaces outward in society instead of, "Oh, I don't drink, so I just don't go out." Like, do you
Yeah.
feel that that is aligned with Kava too?
1,000%. Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not like, I go home and hang out with the family, right? So I'm not really like a go to the bar kind of guy anyways.
Yeah.
Um, but I do, because I sympathize with people that, they don't want to drink and they don't want to get super high and but they need community.
Yeah.
And so if you're not associated with like a church or something or like a running group or what, like that really is a good opportunity for someone to, find some like-minded people to kind of hang out with and not,
Mm.
feel like they're a complete loner, so
Mhm. Yeah.
I felt similarly in the past, and so I can see that being a really huge thing. And absolutely, it's Kava is a definite part of that. Sort of like there's people will often call it like a sober movement or something, and
Mhm.
I don't know what sober really means anymore. I have a friend
Absolutely.
who is an alcoholic, and he talks about sober stuff. Like he used to say he was sober, and now he's like, I never even talk about it anymore because everyone wants to argue about what it means. And some
Huh.
people will say something that doesn't make any sense, like, oh well, I'm sober, but I still, like you could go into an AA meeting and people be like, oh yeah, I've been sober for 6 years. And then they're drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes. Well, what does sober really mean, honestly?
Wow.
Right. And I'm not here to cast judgment on anyone.
No.
Right. But it is a weird word to use in those sort of spaces because it just doesn't mean anything anymore,
Mhm.
it seems. So yeah, I don't know. I'll get off my soapbox there, but
Well, going back
I'm
to
not sure how to
addiction
feel
is
about it.
what I was kinda saying with addiction is we're all addicted to something, so you're exactly right, like, if you're addicted to coffee or addicted to working out, like, right, can you say that you're sober, like, sober from, I guess we could say we're sober from something, like, I'm sober from
Yeah.
alcohol? I don't have
Yeah, I
alcohol?
guess you could say that.
I don't know, but that's lame, like, yeah, maybe just avoid saying it then, I don't know.
That's lame.
I feel like this is a very long title, like, I'm sober from drugs and alcohol and, like, I don't know, caffeine or something, right? Like, I think that's really
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, it is funny because it is all the things that are like I guess technically I'm sober from heroin and fentanyl and meth and coke and like
Right,
where does
that's
it
what I
end?
mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like right, because yeah, or I'm sober from, like, the hard stuff. I feel like somebody said that to me the other day. They were like, "Yeah, I don't do the hard stuff." I'm like, "Okay, so what does that leave?
what does
Like,
that even
weed?"
mean?
I don't know, right, like,
To
I don't
me,
know.
weed is pretty hard. I can't
Yeah.
do it, man.
Right, and what's hard and what's not hard. Oh my god. We could have a whole debate, but anyway, not th but I think that that is, I mean, just in the general, very general sense of sober movement, right? Like, I like the mocktail bars, I like the kava bars, I think that it is just an opportunity, and it doesn't mean that you have to be sober or whatever that is, like,
Definitely.
just to want
Right.
to go and switch it up even and explore, or sober curious is another thing we could debate, like, that's
Yeah,
another
yeah.
term, right?
I mean, I feel like that at least that's like admitting that they're not fully sober or that
Yeah,
there's like some in between, right? Like
yeah,
I guess I have a problem with people who are like, I'm sober, but then you're just doing all sorts of other stuff. I don't know. It just
right.
doesn't, I don't know. I wonder if anyone is even actually sober.
You're not, right? I don't think
No
so.
one. I don't think
Everyone
so.
is addicted to something, and if you think that you're not, then you live in denial. Not to attack you, but no, but I really don't think, like, yeah, I mean, even just your phone, like, try putting down your phone for an entire day, and you will feel what addiction feels like, because you'll pick
Yeah.
up your phone, or even just, like, I remember, like, I've tried to not go on Instagram or, not go on a certain app, but you still use your phone to text. And when you're on your phone, notice how many times your thumb goes to hit the Instagram app or the Facebook app. Like, we're all addicted to something. So, no,
It's
my
almost like
argument.
riding a bike, right? Like
Oh,
if you're on your phone, your thumb immediately goes to this
terrible.
spot and that spot, and you're like, oh, well, I guess I'm in Instagram now, right?
Mhm, and when you bring mindfulness to it, you're like, "Oh, shoot. Well,
I
okay.
screwed
Didn't
up.
know it was didn't know it was that bad." But, yeah, I've done that before, and it's wild. Anyway, we've squirreled quite a bit, but I have loved this conversation. Thank you for introducing us to Kava, and thank you for just sharing your experience with it. For people that are wanting to connect more with you or even find your Calm with Kava, where can people follow up and stay connected?
Yeah. So, ironically, we are on Instagram.
Yay!
We are on TikTok. We are on YouTube.
Love it.
At Calm with Kava. It's Calm with a K, and Kava is spelled Kava. And we also have a website, calmwithkava.com. We also have a farm on the Big Island of Hawaii called Puiwa, which is Puiwa. In Hawaiian, they say W's as a V, so Puiwa Farms Hawaii. And yeah, so that's where you can find me. And generally speaking, if you're on there and you comment on something that I do, or you send us a message, I'm going to see it myself because I run all that stuff myself. So if you have any questions for me personally, I'm there to hang out and talk to you and help you through this Kava journey if you want to join me on it.
Love it. So, last question, Morgan. This one's off the cuff. This is not a typical question, but as a 16-year veteran of marriage, what is your biggest piece of relationship advice for cultivating a healthy and happy marriage?
It's always about just some days you just need to swallow your pride. That's
Mm,
all it is.
mm,
And it's hard. And sometimes it doesn't make any sense to you. But the thing I often refer back to is I asked my grandpa. He was a very quiet, humble man,
mm,
and he was married to this spitfire of a woman. My grandma, she is just like, she'll say what she is thinking without having
mm,
any filter. And she's just I mean, man, she's a battle axe, she just,
mm.
whatever she wants to do, she's going to do it. And I said, Grandpa, like, how have you made this work? It doesn't, when I see you guys together, I just, that is complete yin and yang. And
Yeah.
he goes, you know what? Our long-term goals are the same. The
Mm,
short-term goals don't mean a whole lot. And I always think about that. I know that my wife wants to live a nice life. We want to raise our kids in a way that helps them succeed in the future, and we want to be happy together.
mm,
All the stuff in the middle, not that big of a deal. So
mm.
swallow your pride and just, let things be. It's okay.
I love that. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for this conversation. This was such an insightful and lovely conversation to hang out with you today.
Back at you. Thanks for so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. Truly, your support and love is the foundation of this community and this podcast. If you find yourself in a season of life ready to explore your inner landscape deeper, or perhaps you feel like you've tried all the things and nothing has worked, here's your gentle invitation to come back home. Align and Embody is my signature coaching container that is created to explore our soma, our living wholeness. Perhaps the answers you seek truly do live within. You just need to learn the communication of your body. Align and Embody combines the 3 pillars of my business: human design, somatic breathwork, and cycle alignment. Head to the link in this description to learn more, or better yet, reach out on Instagram @_journey-to-well. I'd be honored to connect with you. Be well on this journey, my friend. Talk soon.